Okay, it's Monday, July 15th, and we will call this regular city council meeting to order. I'd like to welcome everyone. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Deb.
Kathy? Here. Harley?
Here.
Brad? Rodney?
Here.
Jessica? Here. Don?
Thank you. Entertain a motion then to approve today's agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, Deb.
Kathy? Yes. Harley?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Jessica? Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Across the mayor's desk, I just want to thank everyone who helped make our 25th year of Founders Day a success. Whether you participated or were a volunteer, we certainly appreciated everything that went into this. Shay Tilgis, I want to thank her. She's our videographer again today, and I saw her several times through the weekend as a videographer, so we certainly appreciate that as well. So, anybody else have anything they would like to share? Okay, hearing none, we'll have an update from the city administrator.
Well, I want to echo your comments on Founders Day, the chamber board members, the planning committee members, city staff that helped get it ready, and then all the residents and the other visitors that turn out and make those events a success. So there's a lot of work that goes into putting all those together by a lot of different people to make that event happen, especially with some of the last minute changing venues this time around. So I just want to express thanks for that. Project update on the Central Park project. So if you're driving by, it looks like it's ready to go, and from the outside, it does indeed look that way. Inside the building, though, there is still some work to be done with all the plumbing connections and getting those final installations, and then the inspection and sign off from the state. So we are hoping to be able to get the state up here yet this month to complete that inspection. At that time, hopefully approve it for opening. But some of those things we'll just have to kind of play it by ear when the contractor gets back on site, makes those that final work, and then can get an inspection scheduled. Assuming that there's nothing that has to be corrected. After that, we don't think there will be, but the landscaping's in now, and so the park's really coming together. Just kind of do some final touches, some remaining concrete site work, but a lot of the remaining work that has yet to take place is inside that shelter house. So you can't see what is yet to be done, but so hopefully we'll have that open here by August 1st, or in that first half of August to get some fun use out of it yet this summer. And then a few items regarding sanitary sewer. So we are planning at the next city council meeting, which will be on August 5th, to have a work session at 4 o'clock with the engineering team from WHKS to provide an update on where we're at with some of the bigger picture projects that we're working on, but specifically with the I&I efforts in recent years and kind of our plan of action, what we've done and are currently working on to pursue those improvements in the near and long term. And then we're also going to be making some updates to our city webpage for the wastewater department. So we've already made a few tweaks to the layout, but the big thing's going to be coming there, and we'll hopefully be going live this week. It's just an area at the top that will just be an update page, so that will be on the existing project going on, as well as down the sewer plant, as well as I&I investigation, status of those. If there's any smoke testing or other inspection announcements that are going out, as well as just providing some additional background on kind of one-on-one information on how the sanitary sewer collection system works, how that's different from the storm sewer system, just to try to get a better baseline of information out there, but then also have a resource that we can periodically issue updates to on where we're at with some of these items. And then do have a hyperlink to that page as well. That would just be algona.iowa.gov/wastewater. So when we send out information or just, refer people on like the utility bills for more information, we can give them a simple link to go to.
So when you have that information there, are you going to maybe go into minor detail about footing drains and how they can be hooked up wrong, how many probably are?
Yes.
And what the solution's going to be?
Yeah, so, just with conversations we've had with different folks, it seems like, yeah, there's a need and a desire to, people want to know more, kind of explaining, okay, we just talked about I&I, okay, inflow and infiltration, what does that actually mean? What's the difference between the two? What are the common causes of that? In our, town, we think it's primarily from footing drain connections, but, also talking about, sump pumps, downspouts, reminding people, informing people, you may have not had some home inspection since you bought the house, but, in 2015 era, every house was inspected and, periodically inspected since. So explaining that as well as just kind of some key definitions on, so when we're discussing these items or if you're going through minutes or videos and things like that, we kind of have some context clues. And then we found a few different videos that we can link to that kind of do a good job of that, but we're going to try to find some better ones as well. A lot of this is going to be that baseline education, but then that can be tied into, what and we're doing down the sewer plant, how that should help, and then what we've been doing in recent years for I&I efforts and what our plans are for the upcoming year. And a lot of times on those in the past we've done things like notices, we've sent letters or put it on the radio because especially when you're doing the smoke testing, you want to give people a heads up, otherwise they're going to be scratching their head and asking questions on what the heck's going on. And so we typically just kind of put that out to the area being tested, but this can kind of be a one-stop shop for, so whether or not you're in that district or not, you can know, okay, what's going on in terms of the city's efforts.
Anything else? Okay, thank you. Move to agenda item number 7. This is the citizens' opportunity to address the council with any item that's not on today's agenda. Anyone like to speak? Seeing no one, we will move to the consent agenda, and that includes approving the minutes from our July 1st council meeting, approving the bills to be paid this cycle, approve a special Class B retail native wine license to the Print Shop Plus, approve a Class C retail alcohol license to Cassuth County VFW, approve cigarette permit to Wine and Spirit Shop, and approve the department reports and minutes from the various boards and commissions that have met.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion from Harley, second from Jessica. Any discussion? Roll please, Deb.
Kathy? Yes. Harley?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yep.
Jessica? Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. We'll move to old business agenda item number 9. This is the first reading of an ordinance pertaining to sewer service charges.
So we discussed this ordinance change at the last meeting and tabled the item. It really deals with 2 sections of our code. One addressing sewer service for customers who do not have a metered water service, and then the other half addresses customers located outside city limits. We were asked to come up with kind of some alternative ways to go about addressing the outside city limits, so I have some options on that language and approach we can take. But just quick on the estimated usage, we don't propose any, additional changes to what was previously presented, and under our current code, it's just a flat fee that's agreed to if they own on metered water. What this change would do is we would have basically a flat or a set estimated usage amount, and then that would be taken times whatever the usage rate is at that time. Under the current system, it's just a flat fee, so that flat fee is set. It doesn't go up with rates over time. So if they're a 2-family household in a residential lot that's in city limits, they're on sewer, we don't have metered water, you can look at comparables, calculate an assumption, and then use that. Or based on the industry or the business type. And then, if they're in city limits, it would just kind of be a matter of time before water would eventually be extended there. But there's some spots where, either they're grandfathered in or water hasn't gotten there yet, and the plan is to get there once the road needs to be redone, but don't want to prematurely do that. So right now, with the way the ordinance is written, that estimated usage would apply to in-city limits. And then whether or not we do an estimated usage would just require that they actually have metered water outside city limits. That can be something the council decides to either do an estimate or just do a flat, no, you have to be metered, you're not going to, have any potential error on the side of usage for that. So the handout I provided kind of lays out 4 options for if you want to focus on outside city limits. So option A would be the version presented on the 1st, which is charge double the service fee, double the infrastructure fee, and then for usage, charge the actual amount if they are metered, or the estimated amount based on the proposed ordinance change if they're unmetered, and then have them voluntarily agree to future annexation. Option B would be a double service fee, double the infrastructure fee, and double the usage fee or the estimated usage, and then agree voluntary annexation. Option C would be double the service fee, double the infrastructure fee, but the usage would have to be as metered, and therefore we would not serve anyone who's not on metered water service, that we can know exactly every month what they're using if they're outside city limits. And then option D would simply be that for a new customer to join currently outside city limits, they'd have to first annex it. We're not going to allow him to hook up who's not in city limits for the maybe 2 or 3 people that are, or maybe it's 2 that are currently served by city sewer that are not in city limits. We would still want to propose, adopt an amendment to how those rates are calculated, update those. But for anyone new coming in, we require annexation beforehand. And on the ones we have connected in the past, they did sign a voluntary annexation. So if the city, at this time or in the near future, just wants to decide, we're ready to annex you in, you can elect to make that choice. Some of the discussion at the last meeting also talked about AMU water, and I think I misspoke or mischaracterized kind of some of the way their services work. So right now, they only have 2 customers outside city limits that are on AMU water. And so there's not a large universe by that, so it's kind of the same number that we see for sewer outside city limits. And generally, AMU follows the policy of they don't connect unless they're annexed in the city. The 2 that they do have are out on Country Club estates. I'm assuming those are made in the 90s, those connections. So, and the reason we want to put this in the ordinance, and I did upload what I thought was a good example, but more or less what we kind of based our ordinance amendment on, but the 2007 agreement with Janice and Henry Ricky. They live on East McGregor Street. So they actually had to construct part of a sewer main and then a service line to get city sewer service. It would, any construction, whether it be a main or a service, we want to see that, okay, that the user can pay for that completely. Any existing connections that you have are disconnected. This agreement spells out that 2 times the standard monthly fixed sanitary sewer charges, so that's the service fee, the admin fee, which we have proposed, and then plus the $20 per month. That's that flat fee for the usage, which is just it might make sense today, but as time goes on, that flat fee doesn't keep up with rising costs. And then agreeing to voluntary annex into the city in the future if the city would deem it was appropriate. And then item 6 there, because they had to extend the sewer main, that language specifically addresses that if the city were to annex within 10 years, then there would be a cost share on that sewer main extension. But for just a typical, service connection where like out at Country Club Estates, we've got sanitary sewer on the west side of the road. Those property owners on the east side of the road, we wouldn't have to extend the main for the ones that I've recently approached just about connecting to city services. But they would be responsible for all of the cost to make that service connection. So it's really what we lay out in the ordinance of what those other expectations are. So that way, someone who's interested in this type of situation, they know upfront what that is, as well as it's clear for city staff of what our expectations are. And we did look at past precedent, but I think it would just be better to just formally state it in the form of an ordinance exactly how we want to go about approaching these, so they're not something that are kind of negotiated with the property owner, kind of negotiated with the council, and they all come together. It's, these are our rules and we're upfront about it, and these are the standards that have to be met, and if we're provided outside, if you don't necessarily require annexation, that at a minimum, you have to agree to future voluntary, and then determining what, I guess, like this additional surcharges or those increased fee rates would be for not being in the city.
Now, to understand this better, C, the usage as metered, so that would be requiring they put a meter on their water no matter what the source, just so you have something to estimate the wastewater.
Yeah, and ideally it would be, that means they're required to hook up to AMU water. But just today, discussions, we did come up with a hypothetical where AMU might not have water nearby. I don't know where this hypothetical may even exist. But yeah, so we still want it metered. Well, then if we have to go out and manually check that meter every month, it's not a bunch of time, but it's still time, it has to be done. So we then have an upcharge for that, maybe we do it quarterly. Those are the, in reality, we're talking about one or two properties and kind of any of these situations.
Well, that's where I think A almost takes C in by saying usage, actual or estimated. So that gives the flexibility of going with whichever one makes the most sense at the time. So I kind of like A, and that's the one that we have currently.
Well,
That's the one that was presented.
That was
last
presented
time.
last time, yes, that's right.
And right now, the way the ordinance reads is we don't have anything in the ordinance requiring annexation or not, and they're just charged, what everyone in town is charged. And then the estimated usage would apply as well, though we don't have any of those.
No, I think we should clarify that with A. Myself.
I don't know, I was last time. Until we get the sewer plan done, I think it requires annexation. I'm still not in favor of adding anything to our current system.
Okay, here's the situation we have. We have someone that lives out in on Robinson Drive, wants to get city sewer. His septic is gone bad, etc. He wants to hook up to city sewer. But he's not adjoining city property. So we can't annex him in because he'd be an island. So do we tell him, no, we're not giving you city sewer then?
I would think it makes sense to annex, or to have them sign the annexation, or allow the sewer now, rather than have them put in a new system. It'll be another 100 years before this situation comes up
I
again,
mean,
where they
they're
want to.
going to be paying double the fees for being outside the city limits, so I think they're going to more than make up for their usage that's going to the city.
Yeah, but we still gotta be able to handle it. That's why, I don't know, it doesn't happen often, but it has. It's happened more often than usual. And until we get our system built up, and where we can handle 30% more, then I'd be more willing to talk about it. I see people every day that's dealing with stuff, so I just can't say yes to it.
I guess I would just want to clarify that we have capacity at the plant for growth, in terms of new houses being built, new services being added. Country Club Estates specifically, that comes in on the line, that stays west of everything that is what we've seen on the east side of town in terms of the bottleneck areas. It's not passing through that. It's coming, basically down to Four Corners, south, to the McDonald's lift station, and then west. And, what we think on those, where we do have those, challenging spots, we think those are really localized, acute areas that need to be tackled. And, I could see, if there was a large development in the immediate proximity of one of those or upstream of those, I would want to look at that. But, if we're adding, what we're looking at is adding, in the immediate term, one, maybe two homes. We do have the capacity to handle that on this regular flow of events. And then, to the point Barbara clarifying that is, if we required absolutely annexation, there will be circumstances like the one we approach where they currently don't abut the city. And so it'd either be, no, you can't have the service or volunteer to annex in the future. So we could write that to say, if you're already abutting city limits, you have to be annexed in. If you're, one lot away and you're on an island, so you can't be annexed at that time, you agree to voluntary annexation whenever, it would become possible. Because without that, voluntary, to do an involuntary annexation, it gets really complicated. And there's a reason why we have, over time developed these random kind of subdivisions immediate to the city that aren't in the city limits. At that time, without knowing the full circumstances of the story, certainly looking back, it would have been nice to say that we were an annex in right now. I'm not exactly sure the circumstances of why they were allowed to develop that close without being annexed in. But you just have, if you're abutting, you must be annexed. But if for some reason you can't be annexed right now, because you're on an island, it would just be whenever circumstances existed that you came up, if your neighbor then annexed in the future, then we would take you at the same time.
The other problem, if we require annexation, is this person has moved forward the way our current ordinance is written. It's been engineered for his sewer line, etc. So I don't feel we can change the game in the middle. He's moved forward that he's going to have to sign the voluntary annexation, etc. So now all of a sudden, if we change the ordinance before he gets that in, he's on attorney fee, or not attorney fees, but engineering fees, etc.
And
That
that
was
was
on this
conversation.
one and then hold off on adding any more. Just because we're saying language, we're going to add more possibly then, if we can do an exception, but I'd like to come in and talk to somebody. This is the first time I know this much detail.
Where did you say he lives?
On Robinson Drive.
Where is
Out, where Country Club Road is, and then there's a housing addition back on the east side of
But
Robinson
see,
Drive.
I didn't have any of this detail until now.
Okay.
I mean, you're telling me to do this, then we should go ahead and move, but I don't have any of this detail to make a decision. And I'd be willing to come in and sit with you and look at it and
Yeah.
talk me through it. I'm fine with that, but I'm not willing to make a decision on this because I didn't know that before.
So like, yeah, what's really out there, west of Country Club Drive, those are in city limits. East of Country Club Drive are outside city limits. And, they're surrounded on three sides. And so, a home within here, that wants to that wants to service, unless, if they're not already abutting the city, we aren't able to annex
Okay,
them.
say the city, where the city is again?
So the
On the west side.
Oh, we took out.
does that make sense?
It does, because Robinson Drive was there originally and everything else developed later. And the new development wanted to be in the city. Robinson Drive did not
So
want
there's
to
a
be
big
that.
chunk
But, yeah.
between the city.
Yes.
Right.
Oh, okay.
They are going to deny it. But
Oh, okay.
Country Club Road on the right,
See how it-
Hennessy Limits on the left.
Yeah. So shaded represents our zoning.
exactly, exactly.
It's back.
Okay. And then could you show us like the sewer lines? You know, just to make sure it's all,
The sewer main
Separate
runs
from
right
where-
down the west side of Country Club Drive.
And then it comes east, down the highway, down Cliff Station, and then ties in here at the interceptor junction box as it goes west. And I think pretty much this area is probably the only area of town where we kind of have that, you know, or the most residents with that odd layout. The ones with, Ricky, they do abut, the city limits, they're right here. So that one, anytime, the council can decide to annex it.
oh, yeah.
But, say if, 2 houses down, well, their backyard's annexed, so we make that case, but, typically, if it makes sense to connect to the sanitary sewer, you're abutting the city.
So the sewer plant itself, we're not having capacity issues with. It's just the lines that run to it.
Unless we have those torrential rains and we go
Right.
But
Yeah.
otherwise it's got capacity.
And we're bypassing, at the plant, it's now one house that's going to make the difference. But in
Right.
terms of actual, to treat those, it has, it has the capacity, because otherwise, I wouldn't want to put out there, as challenging as this is, we have housing, is that, we don't have capacity to add additional housing to our sewer plant. It's just that, when we did that, the interceptor line upgrade and the heavy cleaning, we thought it was okay. The east side, this is the bottleneck. It's been known as a bottleneck. Getting rid of that, that should allow the east side of town to flow through. Now that that's been fixed, what we learned with this last storm is, it doesn't matter if it's, you got, pipe capacity, up here,
Right.
it's these very localized areas that's getting overwhelmed.
Right.
Like I said, I can see where it makes sense. I don't know how I was supposed to make a decision otherwise without some more information. I wish we could have had on some of this. Myself, at least, maybe everybody else is fine, but I would like to know about this.
Well,
Did we
it-
need streets and sewer about this one?
Yeah, in February, and that, we had just proposed, doubling everything, because we didn't really get into the annexation, technicalities on what we required. But, I think it'd be, easy enough to write a tweak where it's, if you're able to be annexed in at the time, you will be. And if for some, circumstance exists that you're not, you agree to voluntary annexation in the future. Might be 5 years, it might be 50 years.
I think as little as this occurs, since, the property out there on Robinson Drive is already in process, if we could go with item A as presented, and then in the future, if we have somebody else that wants to go on city sewer, we amend the ordinance to make the mandatory annexation at the time, not voluntary down the road.
So you're saying kind of make an exception here and then
Well, we still need to change the ordinance so we can double the fixed fees and everything, because that's not spelled out in the ordinance.
And the key to all this is like what Jacob said, by adding another house on the system, it's not gonna overwhelm the system. It's a different pipe that's going to, right, to the wastewater treatment plant.
I'll agree to the first reading tonight. This gives me time to do a little more research. We're not approving that ordinance tonight. It is a first reading.
And, you know, as it's currently written, you know, they have to agree to voluntary annexation, you know, this council or future council could just say, and we're gonna enforce that immediately.
Yeah.
You know, just rather be if, you know, you don't want to give a future council that option, just saying like, you know, just required to be annexed or just, you know, these situations are so rare that, you know, how many hypotheticals of this rare situation do you
Yeah, that's why.
write an ordinance for? But I think maybe the alternative would then be, you know, can be annexed. If you're open for annexation at the time, it's done, but if it would create an island, you know, basically sign off, you know, with the agreement with Ricky's was, you know, at any time the city can agree to voluntary annexation. You know, you've already, you know, did you notice annexation and you've already volunteered for that? And that would be connected to the property.
I just really need to know how to move forward because I need to do their agreements. And after 2 weeks ago, I wasn't sure where we were gonna be with that agreement.
But otherwise, we just, you know, the plan would be what we have for the Ricky agreement, that's the exact same agreement we would use. And,
But tonight doesn't give you that anyway.
No,
Right,
it doesn't,
first
but
reading.
it starts us down the road.
It starts, yeah. So,
So if we leave it alone and do nothing, explain again what happened.
so as is today, if we just, you know, follow the Ricky, you know, agreement that's based on our current ordinance, they would pay double the infrastructure and the service fee, would agree to voluntary annexation in the future, and then we would, you know, determine what the flat fee is, which for the Ricky agreement in 07 is $20 a month. And so if we change, you know, the estimated usage on this, you can say, okay, a 3-bedroom house, typically you average X, you know, cubic feet per month. So if that's, you know, 200, all right, the rate today is $4, it's 4 times 200. Next year it's $5, it's, you know, 4 by, or 2 by, you know, $5.
So by accepting the change, it allows us to collect more.
Well, I guess it just memorializes in ordinance what we've done in the past and what we've, I guess, had a preliminary proposal with the parties interested in connecting to the sewer. And with that, we've already said that we would charge double fees. And so they're aware of that, and that they would require voluntary annexation. They're aware of that. It's just rather than each time this comes up, we have to have a debate about it. Let's just, you know, set it in the ordinance of what we want to do. And so the version A was more or less written as, this would be the ordinance version of what we've done in our past agreements.
Because currently our current ordinance does not state that it's double the fixed charges. It does not, it's all been in agreement. So, you know, our ordinances are city law, so if this is what we want to do, we really should be changing the ordinance to state that.
Marty, what were you saying about C on
Well, see, I was just wondering, that one is,
were we just talking about C here, or were we talking?
no, that's C, Steve, I was
Okay.
talking about,
Gotcha.
and that's as metered, which would require a meter. In CAC, it actually gives the city the option to determine if a meter is required or estimate, which I do like that flexibility.
Yeah.
So I think A would be the one to go with. So, let me see, how do we, is there an ordinance to read here, or how do we,
So this is the option A, if that's the one we want.
that's the one we have,
Yeah.
which is the one I would want to. Okay. So as long as we understand that, I guess I move that we waive the first reading.
Second.
Motion from Marley, second from Kathy to waive the first reading. Any discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Kathy?
Yes.
Harley?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Jessica?
Yes.
Motion carried.
I move we approve the first reading.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the first reading. Any other discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Kathy? Yes. Harley?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Jessica?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
We will come in before the next one, just to make sure I'm confirmed with everything.
Okay, we'll move to new business agenda item number 10, and this is a resolution concerning the bids for the library exterior improvements project.
Yes, the library bid opening for the Phase 2 exterior improvements was on July 9th. The architect's estimate had been $425,000. Library received 4 bids, ranging from $857,000 to $1,163,500. The library board met that following day and recommended to reject all of the bids, given they were double than the architect's estimate. The timing on this was kind of odd for an outside job to bid it in July, but design, that's how it came together. So they're still going to look at options, and it might just be bidding the same project just in December, where you can get it cheap, because right now most of your contractors are booked up. But as well as look at if there's other value engineering, cost savings, or a different system that would be benefit, would save money if if these costs are indeed more in line with what the market is today, or what we think is probably contractors just threw in a really high number because they didn't need the work, and if they got it, they get to save a amount of money in their pocket, given the time of the year. But we're going to continue to evaluate those options between now and the fall. So this resolution would formally reject all those bids, so we can notify the bidders. That's how we're going to move forward.
Seems like Mr. Jones, I make a motion to approve the resolution, just as that what it did.
Second.
Motion from Rodney, second from Jessica. Any discussion?
I hope we get to rebid it. We'll do in the future.
Vote please, Deb.
Kathy? Yes. Harley?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Jessica?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Agenda item number 11, this is a resolution pertaining to the 2023 Finn Drive and Wooster Street reconstruction project.
I'll invite Matt Cole with Bolton Bank up to address this, and then the following item as well.
Thank you, Jacob. Council, in your packet, you will find the final pay estimate for the 2023 Finn Drive and Wooster Street project to Redding's Gravel and Excavating in the amount of $14,045.74. This releases the final retainage that was held after completion of the punch list for last year's job along those streets, and including the Smith Street parking area improvements.
So whatever that drainage was on Finn that got fixed, that issue, or was there a spot there that was?
Yes. Yep, that's been addressed and repaired.
Okay.
It was actually on the private side, but there was a new intake put in a concrete pad board on the curb there. That was just wasn't done last fall. It's on the punch list to be done this spring. Obviously with the rain that was blowing over the street curb. So, yep, that's been fixed.
Yeah. So there's where this was, there's now a concrete with a beehive, and then there was a private tile that got cleaned out, and that seemed to address the
Yeah,
issue.
there was a private tile I found at Capacious Brothers property that was outside of the construction limits, even from the water main project in 2019. So it was just holding water in that area more than normal, and that was repaired.
Motion to approve retainage.
Second.
Motion from Rodney, second from Kathy. Any other discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Kathy? Yes. Harley?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Jessica?
Yes.
Motion carried. Agenda item number 12 is a resolution pertaining to the 2023 street improvements project, mostly the mill and overlay. I understand.
Yep. Yeah, the 2023 street improvements project with Heartland Asphalt, releasing the final retainage amount there of $11,341.70. They completed the punch list for that job as well. Everything's finished up.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion from Rodney, second from Jessica. Any discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Kathy? Yes. Harley?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Jessica?
Yes.
Yeah. Motion carried. Pretty quick when there's only 4. Agenda item number 13. Oh, thanks, Matt. Agenda item number 13, this is a resolution that approves an agreement with Allers Recruiting.
I'll discuss 13 and 14 at the same time as they relate. 13 is for bond council services for 2024B debt issuance. And then agenda item 14 is setting a public hearing for August 5th regarding 2024B debt issuance not to exceed $21,270,060. This is related to the 2024 wastewater treatment plant upgrade. So we previously approved debt issuance of $30 million through the State Revolving Loan Fund. That carries an interest rate of 2.5%. Since then, we were able to apply for and secure funding through the Iowa Finance Authority, the same funding entity, just a different pot of money that is to finance the improvements directly related to nutrient removal, which is approximately $21 million on this project. So I just want to make clear, this is not 21 on top of the 30. This is 21 within the 30. The big advantage of that is with this debt for the nutrient eligible elements, it is half the interest rate, so we'll be charged 1.25, which on 20 million over 20 years adds up to real serious money. So more or less have to go through and repeat the process that we did with the just the 2024 now the A debt issuance. And both of these loan agreements are on a reimbursement basis, so the final amount will be determined based on what we actually draw. And so when we get the construction estimate or pay apps and they're approved, we're sitting on the first couple right now before reimburse until we get this final phase of the funding, because we've got the 3, hopefully 4 with the grant at the end, but basically 3 different funding pots within the same entity on how we break those down, and only certain things are eligible. But when we get to that, $500,000 would be just a grant off the top. Then we'll have about $10 million would be for the non-nutrient elements at 2.5%, and $20 million would be for the nutrient-related improvements, which would be approximately that $20 million at half the interest rate. So this sets forth kind of proceedings to have the legal counsel verify, have our municipal financial professional sign off, and then hold the public hearing prior to next authorization on August 5th.
And just to add to what Jacob said, this second loan that we're applying for is a brand new program through the state. So that's the reason we got the $30 million in the SRF, because this one was not quite ready to go yet. So then, once we approved the 30 million, then we got approved for this 21 million after everything was set up.
So our Goal is that, with the rate increases that we have been ramping up, in advance of doing our debt service on this project, that we're gonna have a couple $1 million in cash on hand, that when we apply for these on a reimbursement basis, that at the end of the project, we ultimately won't need to apply for, all that we're authorized for. Because we're authorized to cover 100% of engineering, 100% of the construction, plus a buffer in there for, any change orders or unknown things that come out. So our ultimate goal is that it will be less than these, but certainly I want to take advantage of a 1.25% interest rate.
Move to approve that.
Second.
Motion from Barley, second from Jessica. Any discussion?
I will take it.
Sounds like a good plan. Okay.
Yeah.
Vote please, Deb.
Kathy? Yes. Harley?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Jessica?
Yes.
Motion carried. And then agenda item number 14 sets that public hearing that Jacob talked about.
Yep, so this resolution authorizes and directs the clerk to issue notice for the whole public hearing on August 5th at 5 p.m. regarding the proposed debt issuance.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion from Harley, second from Jessica to approve this resolution. Any discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Kathy? Yes. Harley? Rodney?
Yes.
Jessica?
Yes.
Motion carried. Agenda item number 15 is related to the Central Park Improvement Project.
I'll come back up. All right, yeah, as Jacob stated, most of the exterior work at the splash pad has been completed. Just kind of waiting on the mechanicals in the shelter house, pending state approval on those features. So in your packet, you do have change order number 7 and number 8. These were we'll start with change order 7. It's the landscaped area kind of around the skate park bowl. So on both sides of the bowl area, we decided to place some landscape that matches the skate park's kind of features with the limestone blocks and limestone edging. We pulled some of the plants from the skate park area and placed them around the features of the bowl of the park too. Make it a little more mowable, a little less erosion going on there until we get grass established. So that has already been completed and installed as part of this picture here. This is just kind of a formal approval of that work.
And I will note on that one, particularly, obviously, previous accounting first, but contractor's going to be on site, we had the blocks available, if you want to do it or not. The plantings weren't, those are already in the plans, but, so for basically the additional materials and that labor for that price, I think it would really tie in kind of the skate park with the splash pad, limestone areas. But as we just kind of talked through scenarios about how that bowl is built, and it's like we are forever going to be fighting drainage and grading issues of let's surrender to that battle and just put in a permanent fix up front. And so that's why we had proceeded with it since the contractor is going to be there on site.
I walked by it, it was really nice looking. Thought it made good sense, so we didn't have dirt just like on that sidewalk permanently.
Yeah.
Anytime it rained, we're gonna be full of dirt there or something.
And some of that was it, just getting a good layer of grass established, but yeah, just around those edges, there was always going to be erosion concerns.
Motion to approve.
We got,
Yeah, I just have to do them both together.
Oh,
And then change order number 8. We've been monitoring the south parking lot. It was previously cracked up before the project, obviously with the construction entrance being down there on that south end. We had provisions to replace the curb in the north parking lot where we were originally kind of anticipating the construction entrance staging area. To be with the playground up on the north end, we decided to switch kind of the staging area to the south parking lot. We were able to kind of close off that driveway off of Phillips to kind of stage in there and keep the main horseshoe of the parking area open during construction. So This parking lot has just been beat up a little bit more, and with the existing cracks, we kind of made a determination of what needs to be replaced, what should be replaced, while they're out there doing the rest of the concrete work. So those 10 panels that were highlighted there along the sidewalk, it also encompasses a handicap stall in the parking lot that has substantial cracking in it. So we included that handicap stall parking. We added a ped ramp into our new sidewalk area along that, kind of right between the trailer and the porta john there. There is an ADA walkable entrance there to get from the handicap stall right to the splash pad sidewalk. So this change order for $21,910.80 is for removal and replacement of these panels in the south parking lot and the curb that goes with it, and the extra dome panels for the ped ramp there.
Beans, you have that picture up there, off in the distance, you see the splash pad.
Yep.
I also see a lot of dirt around the outside of it where it's not grass growing yet.
Correct.
If that's gonna open soon, is there something in mind how you're gonna keep the dirt from getting into the splash pad?
They're in process of final grading right now, and then they're gonna seed it yet. So it has not been seeded.
So
We're
is that
waiting
gonna
to
be
get
roped off or
irrigation
something?
system in there, and then it'll get mulch.
Oh,
But yeah, I think putting up a fence along the sidewalk would be a good idea. It's just, caution tape, something not permanent, obviously. Until we can get that, we do have irrigation out in most of the park. So hoping to get grass established, start watering as soon as it gets seeded, and hopefully have something before the fall. Obviously, it's not a great time of year to grow grass, but
And this photo's probably a week and a half ago.
yeah.
Yeah. Up there.
The sidewalk has been kind of graded up to and completed, so it looks a lot better than this picture. And yeah, once we get grass established, we should kind of eliminate that
I can see
erosion
the
across the
problem.
sidewalk and all that stuff.
yeah, the problem will go away, it's just right initially.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll probably put some cones and caution tape, that next, so as part of the bid project, there's a warranty on, plantings of 1 year. So with that, subcontractor had bid in installing irrigation, just kind of as a way to make sure that, because they're responsible for, watering and maintaining them, that, that's going to be taken care of. Because we thought, gosh, some of these items they seem a little high, but once we understood that, that makes sense. Since we're already putting the irrigation system in, why not, take advantage of that and add some additional pieces on that. So we just worked directly with Grassmasters, but so we're basically able to tee off what was already planned to go in. That we will have sprinklers in kind of the immediate area around the splash pad and skate, in here, where we'll be able to sprinkle that, with a built-in system to help maintain. Some of it's too, is we're expecting, a lot of usage out of this park, and so if things get trampled down and need some help getting reestablished. So hopefully having that system will help us get the grass growing sooner than later, but, with the hot temps and with it being open, we're probably gonna have to mark some areas off just to get that established. I'm not sure if we didn't really discuss with, exact.
Yeah, we'll have to see when everything gets
Seating.
done and,
Yeah.
and when we can open it, and have those conversations then, to get some temporary fencing up to protect the area and the newly seeded grass, to keep mud off the sidewalk and everything else.
Motion to approve both.
Second.
Motion from Rodney, second from Kathy, to approve those pay orders. Any other discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Kathy? Yes. Harley?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
Jessica? Yes.
Motion carried. And you're still with us?
On to the next one.
Okay, okay. Agenda item number 16 involves the sanitary sewer flow monitoring.
Yeah, as part of the city's, sewer issues, Bolton Mink stepped in and we're able to provide a few options for services that we provide in the sewer flow monitoring department. So these are actual physical modeling devices, flow meters that go inside the pipe, inside the manholes. And we're able to gather flow data of different directions upstream of the manhole to kind of correlate dry weather flows versus wet weather flows, kind of see if we can pin down a direction that's causing the most problems. We're also able to kind of monitor flow usage for what the area should have, you know, the number of homes in a certain sewer shed area should flow, you know, this much with normal water usage. So we like to put them in dry weather and wet weather. So in our proposal, we're planning on leaving them in for 4 months to get kind of through the summer months. Hopefully it dries out and it, you know, we can get the kind of baseline dry weather, normal sewer only flows. And then in the fall, pick up some of those rain events. Obviously, we'll be monitoring the weather and how much it rains, and then how much they pick up flow-wise on the rain events. So we can kind of pick better areas to investigate rather than, you know, inspect every block of town for footing tile and kind of hone down our study areas. So, you know, the South Main area, the Linden Lucas Main Street area, Poplar Johnson area is kind of our focus to start. And once we gather data, we can move them to other locations in town and different pipe sections and segments to try and get that. Our flow meters also come with cellular read capability, so they upload information to a live dashboard that the city can see live flow data and also provide alarms in there to start notifying someone if flows do pick up. I know the city's going to still do what they've been doing on their bypass events when there's, you know, forecasted rains coming. They're going to set their pumps out. They're going to have staff on hand to, you know, get those bypass manholes, pumps in and on. But this will just help gather some data to be able to tackle some of the ongoing problems. So,
Yeah, I guess just to kind of reiterate, you know, Matt's points are our operational changes that we've made in terms of, you know, staging when we can and, you know, doing the spot bypassing, those will remain in place. You know, for any, you know, the alarms that are sent. So it's really, you know, as an additional data point. It's not going to be able to, now we're going to just rely on that, but, you know, will inform us and, you know, might help us get out there sooner. The initial focus is going to be on the South Main Street area. And then, so we've got 6 meters, and I think we're going to be ready to install here later this week.
Yep.
And, you know, as those gather enough data, you know, the cost in here, that $42,500, that, you know, that's a not to exceed amount, and that includes, you know, costs for mobilizing, coming down, you know, Bolton Mink staff, you know, physically removing, you know, and setting them up in different locations. So we may not need, you know, all 6 moved twice. You know, some of them might, we want to, you know, keep it here because the data, we still want more data, or, you know, this is really insightful, and the more we can get, the better. So really the goal of this would be to provide additional data point, you know, in terms of bypassing when we have those high flows, and then really help us hone in on where we think those, what we suspect our footing drains as illegal connections are, so we can get our biggest bang for our buck in terms of prioritizing those locations for removal. But then also, you know, kind of eliminating the unknowns of, you know, making sure that there's not a random, you know, old county tile tied in something, or, you know, something that we, you know, haven't found or haven't suspected, that we'll be able to, you know, get some real good data with these flow meters to basically figure out the best plan to maximize our impact on doing the footing drain removal program.
And you use these flow meters for several years in other communities and
Yep.
had success?
Yeah, we've had flow monitoring services for around 15 years. These new cellular read models are new, kind of top of the line ones. We've had them for just a couple of years, but the flow monitoring.
The whole idea is.
Yeah,
sort
our
of
flow
not
monitoring
mandated.
services have been in use for many years.
So you already have the information of how many houses are on the line.
Yep,
So going in, you're expecting a certain flow.
we can estimate a typical usage for the sewer shed, similar to watershed, the homes that are connected to this run, there's 7 blocks upstream, there's 20 houses per block, we can figure out what a typical sewer use flow should be. It helps us correlate, data, we want to make sure our transducers that are in the sanitary sewer pipes, in the flow meter itself, are reading accurately, so we do kind of have, baseline numbers that we would expect to read. And then if it rains an inch, does the pipe run half full, 3/4 full, is it halfway up the manhole? Some of that information, and does that flow go down, after it stops raining? Does it continue for 2-3 more days at that higher level? It just kind of gives us something to go off of. And then with this data, I know the city doesn't have a citywide sewer model. Part of the I&I project, the ultimate goal would maybe be to model the entire town and see just where, pipe sizes are not big enough even to handle, typical flows. Like Jacob said before, your plant has the capacity for, a certain amount of flow. The bottlenecks seem to happen much farther away from the plant. Are the pipe sizes adequately sized in that area? So these flow meters kind of help us, get that calibration data for the model if we were to model the whole town.
And I think a lot of that, is kind of our, I guess we call them collector mains. If you think of like a street where we have a lot of, 8, 10-inch mains going into a 20-inch, especially like, Elm Street, getting a better understanding of, okay, what's kind of an average flow on that, a typical day, what's our wet weather flow, because that is something that, we want to consider if, we're at a point where new subdivisions getting put in on the east side of town, where we get, big industrial development of, we have certain areas of town where we have pump, lift stations, where we have a really good idea of what our flows are. Some of those other areas, you have a general idea, but, this can inform, okay, down the road, we need to upsize this section of pipe because it's, at such, X capacity today during a wet weather event. So, the future, if we get, future development, we're going to have to, put that on the list.
Yeah, the wastewater treatment plant, they track how much water they treat every day. I'm sure Mark's data, when it rains 4 inches, it's off the chart of their, your normal water usage is probably pretty similar to AMU's, water sales in a drought. So the last 3 years probably been pretty similar of, water getting treated at the plant is, probably 20-30% higher than the water sold out of the water tower. In a rain event, it could be, 6 million gallons more than that. So that's how much infiltration and inflow you have in your system.
So as we gather the data, does our GIS system have a place for keeping track of this, or?
Yeah, that's something we can certainly add in terms of the layer, and I guess we haven't discussed it specifically, but I think we've got to it, but that's a really good idea in terms of just making sure it's memorialized, for years after, who comes after us, of, all right, on these dates, this is where it was done.
Yeah, as part of our proposal, we provide a formal report with flow data, and we can give you the, the daily time interval flow data if you request it and want it for just general use and knowledge. I mean, it's recording data every 15 minutes at normal flow. Once it reaches a certain height in the pipe, it's recording data every minute or more, depending on whatever we want to set it at. That's typically what we do just for battery life of the flow meters, but we can take data, almost instantaneous if we want to change batteries more often, which we have an office in town, so we can change batteries as often as we need. But yeah, that's typically what we would provide in the report.
Okay, I think this is something we're kind of anxious to get started on, so I move to approve this task order.
Second.
Motion from Harley, second from Kathy. Any other discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Kathy?
Yes.
Harley?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Jessica? Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Hey.
Thanks, Matt. Move to agenda item number 17. This is pertaining to, this is a pay application pertaining to the wastewater treatment facility improvement project.
This is pay application number 2 from Woodworth Construction in the amount of $212,187.50 for the period of June. Most of the work in the pay app relates to the mobilization and on-site preparation. With the river being so high, some areas that haven't been able to work in, other areas it's just been too saturated. So we're maybe a couple weeks behind the ideal schedule that was laid out, but on a 3-year project, certainly not looking for a cost concern, it's just a wet summer. So this agenda item is to approve that pay app.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion from Rodney, second from Kathy. Any discussion? Roll call, Deb.
Kathy?
Yes.
Harley?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Jessica? Yes.
Motion carried. Agenda item number 18 is a residential tax exemption.
This is a application for a residential tax abatement out at 2401 East Lynn Drive. Recommend approval.
Move to approve.
Second?
Motion from Rodney, second from Jessica. Any discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Kathy?
Yes.
Harley?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Jessica? Yes.
Motion carried. Agenda item number 19, this is the final notification of Becky Zittrich's term expiring on the tree board, and she has agreed to be reappointed to that tree board. It's a 3-year term, so I would entertain a motion to approve Becky for that appointment.
Move to approve.
Second?
Motion and second, any discussion?
Thanks, Becky.
Yes, thank you, Becky.
Thank you.
Vote please, Deb.
Kathy?
Yes.
Harley?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Jessica? Yes.
Motion carried. Agenda item number 20, this is the second notification of terms expiring on the cemetery board for Jamie Lenz and Sharon Menke. They expire August 11th. And again, this is just the second notification. And agenda item number 21, this is the final agenda item. This is the first notification of Airport Commissioner Bill Stroman's term expiring on August 23rd of this year. And that's commission consists of 5 members, and those are 6-year terms. So it is 6:12, and I would entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone.